Hello, welcome back. I am so happy to see you again. Thank you for coming. Happy official New Year, a little late, but better here than not at all. It's me, Liza, otherwise known on the internet as the witch who works for and under the Crow Mother. I am here with your year ahead forecast for 2022. We're going to be pulling a message today from Ascended Masters, Guardian, Archangels, and Spirit Guides. A message in the best and highest good, the absolute best and highest good of the collective consciousness for this year. If you haven't already, please make sure that you've subscribed to my channel so that you receive these messages every month. I do monthly tarot scopes. Turn on your notifications so you know when I've put them out. Like this video and share it far and wide with anyone you think might be of benefit. Let's get into it. Sips tea. First, before we do anything, let's have some breath together. Let's share some air and ground in for our time. Please accept this offering of smudge, smoke, to clear the space between us and around us. Let's take a deep breath in. Almost done. Okay, so what do we have? Usually in monthly tarot scopes, I only pull 3 and I'm able to hold them up to you, but this time we'll pan out and let you get the overall scope, the overall sight. But I'll go ahead and just tell you the first row. And by the way, there's no formal spread here for this. They show us what they want to say. They will say different things to one another, and they will specifically pinball back and forth to get the message across. If you've ever listened to me read or had a reading with me or studied with me, you know that this is a familiar practice, and I hope you get a lot out of it. So out of the gate, we get the 3 of Cups reversed. We then go to the 7 of Wands, the 4 of Swords. We go to the 8 of Cups, Judgment, and the Tower. We go over to the right, you'll see, and I sort of ask the question, what is the overall statement, the pan out of the message for this coming year? We received the Magician, the Page of Swords, and the 5 of Wands reversed. So let's take a quick moment to think back to the previous year. We can say whatever we like about the year as a whole, how good it was, how bad it was, how boring it was, how uncertain, whatever you want to say about it. It was many things to all of us. It was certainly not just one thing that made a statement in the year. We can't put the year, I would say, in a box and make it neat and tidy, especially for the last 2 years. I think we can say that. What I really want to get at is to call to mind the fact that last year, in terms of numbers, was a 5-year, 5, the numerological B, meaning 2021, as many of you already know, was a Hierophant year. The Hierophant is number 5 in the major arcana of tarot, number 5 in the whole 78. And this year is 6. So this year is going to be, or already is, a Lover's year. I think that we should maybe break those down for just 1 second, or I guess explore them a little further without getting too far into the definition of what the Hierophant card means. Let's talk about how it relates to the overall experience of the year, that which we really, again, can't just neatly package in a box and call it a day. The Hierophant, as a symbol, as an archetype, and as the year, is one that really calls us into not just discover the systems, the belief systems that we are operating under within the world, but also within ourselves, our deepest, most primitive, our lightest, most mundane, any parts of ourself. Last year, as the Hierophant year, we were given much cause to reflect on exactly how we're living, what we're involved in, how we spend our time. Is this working, right? Fundamental belief systems of importance. And are they really important to us? Are they meaningful? Are they productive? Are they just? Is it sustainable? We, I think, at large could really say that all things considered, 2021 was a year that really and truly, again, gave us cause to consider all of those things. What do I believe in anymore? What works? What doesn't work? What is completely unnecessary? What is absolutely unsustainable? And also, what works? What's working that we're doing really well? I think that that's important to look at in any situation of assessment, right? So now we go into 2022, which is a 6 year. And 1 second, we could just say, how do we come up with those things? For anyone watching this that doesn't know that, we just add up to 0, 2, and 2, which is a 6. 6 in tarot is the Lovers. So I was doing a bit of a meditation on that card, some of the history, the education, obviously the symbolism behind the Lovers. Before I sat to talk to you today about this, we could say some of the perceived definitions of this year, or some of the perceived themes of this year, are that of choice. We choose between one lover or another. We choose to witness the other outside of ourselves, a lover, a partner, a family member. We choose to make sure that we are able to show up, to really see, to really witness the other. This is one of many choices we're faced with when embodying the archetype of the Lovers. We're also faced with the archetype of choice in the bigger picture, in the most grand sense. Again, I encourage us all, I should say, to really look at things in the micro and macro sense, ourselves and the other. So this year, we are invited to step into the embodiment of the archetype of the Lovers. And I feel that we can really do that based on our experience of embodying last year of the Hierophant. If in 2021 we were given the opportunity, everything's a choice, I guess, or many things are choice, I would rather say. If we were faced with the prospect of learning, relearning, questioning, the breaking down of systems that we have questioned that don't work, the bolstering of beliefs and systems that do work, this year we are now carrying all of what we learned, all of what we were pleased to learn, all of what we were aghast to learn. We're taking all of that from last year and we're plugging it into this year. And this year we are faced with many choices based on all of what we now know, what we can no longer pretend not to know. Not only are we faced with the opportunity for choice this year within 2022 and embodying the lovers, we're also really called to bear witness to ourselves and the other in light of, once again, the previous year's embodied experience from the Hierophant. That said, let's get into our reading for the year. And I want to be clear on this. When I asked Ascended Masters, Guardian Archangels, and Spirit Guides about their message or a message, I asked for a message in the absolute best and highest good of the collective consciousness for the year ahead. And we can really see that overall we are given the opportunity to create incredible, impactful, and lasting change. We have many, many choices to make. And, originally I hadn't planned to go into the comparison of the Hierophant and the Lover, but when I pulled these cards, I felt that it would be unjust to not really tie it all together. Again, we have the Three of Cups reversed, the Seven of Wands, we have the Four of Swords, the Eight of Cups, Judgment, and the Tower. We have over to the side, when we talk about what is the overall statement here, we are given the Magician, the Page of Swords, and the Five of Wands reversed. I really think that the overall message for the coming year, that which is in the absolute best and highest good of the collective consciousness. So bear that in mind, right? This is not necessarily a message for each individual sign, which is what I usually do. That's by design. I wanted to begin the year together by talking about how we fit into the greater whole. I wanted to really try to embody in this practice here of mine the reality that there is no separation here. There is no other. And that, I think, is another aspect of how we can embody the Lover's card. There is no other. And in a message like this, I think that we're very, very, very much reminded of that. Let's get back into the reading really quickly. This coming year is less and less about the light frivolity, the cavalier attitude, choice of pretending as though nothing has happened. We enter into the Three of Cups reverse and it goes into the Seven of Wands and of course the Four of Swords. This is not to say that in 2022 we're not going to have any fun. No fun allowed here. Fun police, front and center, right? No. That's unreasonable. And I don't think that they would imply that our greatest unfolding comes at the sacrifice of any kind of fun. But I do think that we are called not just today, not just tomorrow, but at each point in the year, what our real purpose is. It's not about like, yay, things feel better in terms of a global pandemic or less tightening in our faces of racism and oppression and the dire need for change. We're really called to, after last year and everything that we learned and the year before, we're really called this year to not forget what our true purpose is, to not forget that there are miles to go before we sleep. Again, I reiterate that this doesn't mean that we're not going to have any fun this year, but that we must be in our true purpose all year. Our true purpose of continuing to inspect, continuing to really witness the true self of ourselves, the true self of the world, to really not seek to see only what feels good to see, but really commit to giving sight and witness and audience to what really is. We're committed to witnessing and choosing between the options that are really presented, not just the ones that help us not see the forest through the trees, because that's not how lasting change is created. We're committing to fighting for that which is worthwhile in ourselves and in the other and in the world. And conversely, we are compelled, we are brought to the confidence of being able to firmly walk away from anything that is not sustainable, not just for the individual, but for the total of us all. We are meant to have active pause and rest, meaning, and I know that I talk about this a lot, and that's okay, I'm going to keep talking about it. We're meant to, and I think that this is where the Four of Swords and Judgment really begin to line up with one another here, literally and figuratively. We're really meant to have active pause and rest, meaning to try one step at a time as best we can, to take pause as much as we can, to be present within our lives, to mindfully consume, to mindfully act, rest, work, speak. We are meant to mindfully and presently exist within ourselves and one another so that we can practice the very sublime art of discernment. Because if we have a Seven of Wands and then sort of right below it here, but we have the Eight of Cups, okay, so then how are we going to know what is worth in our choice, in our lover's year, what is worth really, really digging our heels in and fighting for, what is worth continuing forward, knowing that there's still miles to go before we sleep? How do we discern the difference between that and knowing what has to fucking go or what we have to go away from? Judgment, right to the side of the Eight of Cups, calls for that. And again, partners with the Four of Swords to say, you'll know, and we toggle over to the Magician, you'll know, and you will be able to really discern, act, mindfully exist, coexist within these places. Yes, it's contemplative. Yes, it's mindful, but it is powerful. It is alchemic and it is creative. From this place, we can express truth for ourselves, for one another, and we can move farther away from conflict within ourselves and between one another. What about the Tower then? Is it all scary? Is it all bad? Again, there's a lot of talk about the Tower these days, and I think that that's because those of us that are divining for the year are seeing the Tower again. But that's because our work is not finished. And shame on me if I ever once thought that it was. And it's not about having a good year or a bad year, but it's a year of many, many, many spirit-willing years behind us, presently, and ahead, in which we live and act within purpose, in which we coexist with one another. A year that sort of continues from before and into the next, a year that says, this is worth everything to me. This I will witness. This I will choose to grow and feed. We also have the opportunity this year that stems from the last and goes into the next, of course, that says this is pointless. This is pointless. This is not sustainable. Again, I'll keep repeating all these important words that they're giving me. This is pointless. It's a waste of time. It's not sustainable. It's oppressive. It is whatever it is. And this I'm walking away from. This I also choose to witness. I choose to acknowledge. Again, this is not a year that will be able to pretend to not see the forest through the trees. In summation, LOL, in summation, we are really, I think, being called into the responsibility of what we have collectively asked for, which is change. That has been thematic in my own life recently. When we ask with our hearts, our souls, our minds, our highest selves, and I know for sure that so many of us, countless of us, among us, have done so for our families, our lives, and for the collective. We must be prepared to meet that which we have prayed for, what we've asked for. 2022 is the year that we meet what we prayed for, some of which will be hard to face, but it's gonna pass us on its way out the door. We can't pretend that we haven't lived with it. We can't pretend that we haven't been a part of it. We haven't engaged, so on and so forth. We meet all of these things with acknowledgement, patience, love, maybe some compassion, I don't know. We continue to work for what is right and just and worthwhile and sustainable and nourishing. And we do the hell away with anything that's not. And that might break up some of our systems. It may break up some of our systems. And you know what? That's okay. It's really, 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 it's okay. Again, it's an honor and a privilege to read for you. It's an honor and a privilege to spend this time with you, to enter into a new calendar or Gregorian year. It's an honor to sit in council with divine beings with you and for you. And it's an honor that I don't take lightly. Thank you again for showing up. I'm so happy that you were here. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do so. Turn on your notifications because I put out videos at least once a month in TarotScopes, and maybe we'll do more this year too, because we gotta show up, right? Like this video and please share it far and wide with anyone you think may be of benefit. Merry meet, merry part, merry may we meet again. Mwah.